go, must go, must go. Lakini youth, vijana, mkipewa hizi political seats, mtawezana. Na to help me dive deeper into this conversation, niko na panel hapa. So starting from my immediate left, tuko na starting from my immediate left, we have Jared Oye, who is an ODM Youth League member. At the middle, we have Kasmuel Makoure, also a member, ODM Youth League. On the far left, we have Kennedy Sankara. Not sure what tag to put on him. Yeah. Let me start with you. Vijana, mkipewa, mtawezana? Mm-hmm.
Okay. Tunaweza kufanya nini? What are we capable of doing? It's not a matter of running for offices. Are we able to deliver? What do we want to deliver? You know, it's unfortunate that 60 years after independence, we are still asking for very basic things. Things like accessibility to clean water, accessibility to affordable health care, leave alone shisha, accessibility to quality education. We are still asking for basic things like security. And that is something that forms the tenets of a government, providing or being in a position to provide water, services, healthcare, education, and etc. So we are able, because we have the capacity and the ability to deliver. How are we going to deliver on some of these things, like the fight against corruption shouldn't be a lip service, but an actionable word? Mm-hmm. How are we going to do it? Why don't we even borrow the Vietnamese drug laws for once, then deal with people like the current composition in government? Someone has never worked in public service, has experience in nothing, and then you elect them to an imaginable level of the presidency, mm-hmm. and then you want service delivery. From where? You just imagine from a political party youth leader. You grow. You've not worked anywhere. You have no any experience, even a little one. Even the credentials somehow are questionable, and then you give them power. So we are capable because we understand best how we can work with these things. For example, today...
Sankara, allow me to cut you short. We will continue. This conversation
let me
continues.
just say this as you cut me short.
In one sentence.
If we were to deal with corruption, then we would have employed, for example, the Lee Kuan Yew's policies, where we imprison not only you, the perpetrator, your family, and the people you shared the loot with. We pass theft of public resources to be a capital offense, punishable by death. Tukuchome ama tukuang pale archives. I'm telling you, you hang the first 100 people. Even Waititu angekuwa jela leo, he would have refrained. But because we've normalized corruption, to an extent we've started discussing corruption. Corruption can never be discussed.
Right,
These things can be done. Just hang the first 3 people.
And it will be done. Thank you, Sankara. Allow me to cut you at that. Coming to Makoure. I was going through my socials earlier today, and I stumbled upon some hashtags a while back. Must go, must go, must go. So I'd still want to catch up. Are we still on must go, must go?
Iseme.
Yes?
Iseme, what must go?
No. Tell me.
I think for me, with it's a system, because I think if anyone listened to, there's a public lecture I gave at the Catholic University, where I was explaining what I thought Rutoism I gave at the Catholic University, where I was explaining what I thought Rutoism meant. It is saying with the total systemic overhaul, where I think the systemic problems that Kenya faces cannot be pegged onto one individual. And right now, I'm more keen on institutional strengthening, us preserving our democracy, but also being very vibrant and very prepared for the constitutional means. I want all the young people here, and I hope that this is not just a talk show you've invited us for. I've had people who've declared ambitions for parliament here. These are things which you should take very seriously, because this means that tonight I have access to 50 members of parliament in 2027. That means that parliamentary businesses, if we are serious, parliamentary business could start tonight. But a lot of the time when we come to the media stations, we look for the sensational topics. You want me to insult Sankara, or you want me to insult someone from the audience, which makes me lose so much on the shared potential that we would have. And that's why I'm pegging off of this question, because how does this question help Mweshimiwa over there? How does this question, for example, help Rice? Because we have a presidential candidate over here. Because the main theme of the evening is tukipewa tutawezana.
Yes.
It must solely be about us. It cannot be about any other people. Because if you call me here, we will go down a slippery slope.
At YK24 and some also in the Young Task, that is during the multipartism struggle. And again, when the Moi regime was going down, the Rais was in YK24, which was very active. YK92, thank you, YK92. And that is one. Second, today, the youth that we are having here, the power was on the street just the other day on June 25th, but we were not organized to consolidate that power. And again, if you're not keen 2027, if you're not organizing ourselves properly to occupy these offices, still will miss the point. So the youth today must continue organizing themselves if they truly want to capture power. That is one. Second, the youth who have, a number of them, when I came in, they were carrying their candidatures in different seats. It is okay, it is good to have the ambitions, but let us not have the air visions that are they realistic? Are we able and capable to organize ourselves to capture those seats as we are putting it? Thirdly, we can't capture this power. Are we capable? We are capable, yes, but are we capable to capture this power independently? We have political parties like me, I'm from ODM party. We need to consolidate ourselves in these political parties, and if possible, in our political parties, I think Kasmuel is one of our latest signing in our ODM party. These people, yes, we can't, from the ODM party, for example, a good example, we can't capture power even in the political space, on the political parties space, if we don't have power inside there. I'll tell you that in the political parties where we are the minority. We are very few, I'll tell you. But outside
of mindset. In this context, for example, most of the leaders, we've been really calling them out based on Chapter 6 of the Constitution that calls on, and the basics like integrity. And we've been raising the concern about them over and over again. Looking at the current youth, at the current rate of unemployment, are we going to see a youth who are actually integral?
Let me tell you, my bro, the youth, we do not have, the country is not devoid of youth of integrity. This country is not devoid of youth of good standing in society. They're not devoid of youth of good education or of leadership capabilities. This is not a matter of looking for them. They are the majority. And as we say here, it's incumbent upon us to hold true to these words, to ensure that if we find ourselves in positions of leadership, that we will not be disqualified by the very things that we talk about. And I say that it ought to start as early as when we're building this, such that if I know, for example, I have Chapter 6 issues, that I shall not be allowed anywhere around power, for example. It must start with our generation, and these are sacrifices that we need to make, that it needs to start with us, so that we are not just merely looking to replace one oppressor with the other. I think for the young people in another person's strength can pour into yours. Let us ensure that constitutionally, when we are approaching those elections, it will not be found that it will be said that, oh, you see, our parliament has uneducated people. Our parliament has people for wash or drug dealers. Our parliament has murderers. Our parliament has people who do not have the necessary papers. As we do this, we have to be those model citizens that are saying that when you say you're vying, everyone can rally behind you.
All right.
Allow me just to throw a question to him. I'm just wondering, when you're talking about integrity as well as being role models, we saw you shift from the mass youth that we saw on the 25th during the protest, and you moved to ODM, and we've just heard that you're the new signing. And we're just wondering, does political parties truly represent the needs of people? Because you now represent ODM, does it mean that you also represent all the youth that are here?
I think, first of all, that's an ignorant line of questioning. Because, and I have to be honest, because I've taken this nonsense for too long. I come from the Orange Democratic. Let me answer. I promise I will answer.
You cannot say it's ignorant because you're truly from ODM, and we're just asking.
Let me explain how it is ignorant.
Are you representing the youth
you have to give me
ODM?
A chance. No. You have to give me a chance.
Okay, all right.
Who was asked? Yes. Yes.
Okay, we'll
Very
let
good.
him speak.
Let me. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I want to explain why I think the premise which I say it's ignorant. I'm saying it is an ignorant question because even the way I came here, I came from the Orange Democratic Movement Youth League. So you cannot say that I represent the ODM, but we have an active youth league. Whose comrades, and let me explain, whose comrades I marched with. The people I was with on the streets include my comrade here. He was in ODM when I was not in ODM. He is a young person. There are several hundred youths in Mathare. I was in Mathare the other day. The people I marched with, 200 young people that I marched with on the streets are the people who see me and I go to figure their interest, especially when I go on television. So I am not here on my own behest. I am here for a very particular constituency. When you see me with Akina, just a moment, let me land. I promise they will give you a microphone. When they see me here, when I come here, I don't come to speak only for Kasmol. I come to speak for Ndach from Mathare. I come to speak from Kevu, from Kayole, with whom I march, and people who hate me when we were protesting. Therefore, if you say that this was a shift, for me, it was a shift in strategy, not a shift in ideology.
But you agree it's a shift, yeah?
It is a shift, yes, but it is representative specifically of a very deliberate constituency that is the youth constituency.
All right, thank you very much, Linda. And before Majibo, you take it, still on the same point, but allow me to now engage Sankara. There's something important that Makaure has mentioned in terms of, you know, walking in paths that have been walked before. In this sense, in law, we have pupillage, where you walk with a lawyer and you learn the ways of leadership from them. Looking at the current youths that we currently have and the space for mentorship or following paths, people who've walked the path before, what do you think is the space for that? Do the youth, as we have them, really need the mentorship?
So, Kagina, it's like you're asking me to learn bad example from somebody. Because as things stand today, who are we blaming? We are blaming the current constitution of leadership. And these are the same people we can learn with. And that brings me to a point. I know they will tell you that there is no ideals in this snake pit modern day politics, but I stand to be corrected. It depends on what do you stand for as an individual. Because besides being a young person, some of us, I would tell you, are more rotten than even the people we want to fight for. And we are just looking for opportunity. You know, people are asking Kasmuel why he shifted so fast. Others would conclude that it is the opportunity was in pursuit of, I don't know. But all said and done, we as young people, you choose what you want to learn. As things stand today, I don't think we really need to learn anything from the current political class, because whatever is there to be learned is about lamentation. So, in other words, I would urge that we young people know what we want to change. Let us go for that thing. For example, the politics of must go. The politics of must go is something that did not start today with William Ruto. It comes when bad leadership is in question. People demand for accountability. But you see the response from the political class. Like Murkomen just said that we young people who speak bile in social media are drunk. Do I look drunk? Do we take alcohol 24/7? How expensive even is alcohol? You know, Murkomen thinks that as he is capable or best placed to afford Mattel, some of us can also afford. No, the young people are disadvantaged. So it is actually ignorant for the political class to think that any young person who is speaking out of anger is actually drunk. And this speaks to what informs the kind of intelligence the president receives. Because if these are the same persons, for example, Murkomen sits in the Security Council, which advises the president on security matters. Here is a group of young people who are agitated. What do you think Murkomen tells Ruto when they sit together, now that he can confidently speak that we are drunk in public. That was not my point. My point is, as young people, it's not a matter of saying we are young. No. We can actually solve these things, especially when it comes to matters of unemployment. You see, we are currently glorifying a monster in the name of empowerment. But the question lies with, do we even have the standalone policy organization that defends the young people? For instance, in the current setup, I have been embroiled in a fight to ensure that the National Youth Council is reconstituted. For the last 13 years, despite its constitutional provisions on what it's supposed to do as far as the matters of young persons is concerned, the NYC has never been conducted elections. Currently, we have somebody called Gloria Wawiria. I don't know whichever. She is in acting capacity. So you can imagine Kenya forgoing elections for 1 year. Can we manage? But we are having a youth constituency of over 35 million people having their rightful constitutional platform, which is apolitical, because the Youth Council is like a government of young people. It is there to actually speak for the young people. You saw when the Gen Z protest broke out, the National Youth Council was nowhere. Whereas today, we have the NYC legality being funded by the Exchequer. So it is a matter of having systems work. When we speak of young people and the monster, who is also a graduate of the alma mater, the University of Nairobi, in 2025, exporting labor of young people, not to America, not to Europe, to Saudi Arabia. To go and do what? Just a moment, Kagina. To go and do menial house jobs in Saudi Arabia. So you imagine Alfred Mutua, who is a doctor. You know, some of these things are even an insult to education. Who is a doctor, is building a model Saudi house in Mombasa to train young Kenyans to go and offer house course in Saudi. Whereas his peers, or their peers, like in the late 50s and early 60s, about 75 years ago, we had young people being airlifted to the US to study. They came back. It is through that program that actually Martin Luther's prediction or whatever of a black man leading the United States of America came to a realization. So imagine,
Thank you, Sankara.
what will a nanny in Saudi Arabia produce? Do we want to capture the oils? Like, no?
All right. Thank you,
sense.
Sankara. I can see Jared here was writing. His pen is sweating. What do you have to say?
Okay, first I'll build from what my comrade friend Sankara just left it from. No, he's carrying a very great name there, Sankara. First, us exporting labor is so unfortunate for us as a nation and as a country. No, when the country loses their young people, we lose big, not only on our economy, but even the next population.
Allow me to ask, is that related to, are we losing on the youth by exporting?
We're losing a lot. Now let me come to maybe the things that have been scraping here. No, you are not asking me a question though. So I'll start with chapter 6 that you asked my comrade Kasmel Makoure here. It is first so unfortunate that this is one of the chapters in our constitution that have never been implemented fully. That they have been ignoring it, I think, very intentionally. For us to have the crown of the leader that we're having today to all the offices and siphon a lot of resources off from the public and for the resources not to be channeled on the right direction or the right channels where they should be. And again, so unfortunate again, I'll agree with Sankara when he quoted our Singapore that we have been quoting severally, that we need to go Singapore way. We can't go Singapore way when we, the young people, still sitting here discussing corruption, leadership at the same time. It is so demeaning. It is a punch on our face and a egg thrown to us. I think we need to make corruption discussion, corruption talk, in fact, illegal. Why must we discuss corruption? We need to act on it. At some point, something that is part of our syllabus. It's so derailing. And then again, I think just on the same, on the civic and political education that we have been having as a country. Our generation and our youths, we have been reduced to civic education. And I think we saw the political enlightenment during the June 25th. But again, I may defend my comrade Kasmuel, not shifting his allegiances, but finding its proper grounding in a party that has been in the forefront for fighting and has always been on the street as a party of vanguards. And we must agree that even before the June 25th, we had the economy, the Sophia Revolution on the streets here in Nairobi. Before we had the NADCO report that was chaired by Stephen Kalonzo at Bomas. We must agree, Sheikh, that ODM has been in the street. And when we are outside here again on the street where I was, even then, please let me give my side.
Yes, please, let's keep going. We'll come to that. We'll come to that.
ODM
conclude on your point.
I'm concluding. ODM as a political party, when we were outside on the street, we were not organized. But there's a party that has to be on the forefront, fighting for a better Kenya, and was formed out of the struggle that we have been having as a country.
So a personal question for you.
So Kazmuel and other comrades were fighting.
A personal question for you, Jared. A personal question for you, Jared. A personal question for you.
Why are they shouting?
A personal question for you. When you say now leave Kasmel, he'll speak for himself. But as Jared
is an example of many comrades who have joined ODM. He's just one of them.
When you join a political outfit, for you, is it because it aligns with your personal values? And looking at the direction that the youth are pushing for as leadership, we have people who are aspiring even to be president right here with us. Is it a direction you'd advocate for them to take in terms of, walking in the direction of proper leadership that we're looking for as a country?
Thank you. ODM as a political party has ideology that is identified and very clear. This is a center-left political party. This are a party that is progressive. That is one. It's aligned with my personal principles. That is one. I didn't just join it for the sake of joining it. So first, it's aligned with what I believe in. And I think a number of us here are working and living that belief. And nikitaja Kasmuel, sijataja Kasmuel mtu moja. This is just a face of young people who joined political parties and them being one of the parties that tripped big from the street. We must agree.
All right, I can say people are really agitated, and I believe the same way that people right here want to respond, it is the same way that our viewers back at home following this conversation would love to participate. Ms. Kahiro, I understand we have feedback from those who are following this conversation from home. Probably we can hear what they have to say.
Yes, Kagina, najua east side watu wanataka kuongea, but first we need to listen to the people at home. Wanasema nini pale? Kwa WhatsApp, there's this guy anasema, I'm Kayanda from Kitale, just like the kingdom of God, which is taken by force. Likewise, leadership of this country must be taken forcefully by youths. Power is taken, not given. Revolution is here, my youths, tunaweza. All right. Jackson Alumasa anasema naomba tu vijana wajisajili kwa wingi kama wapiga kura. Wasiongee bila kujisajili, itakuwa kazi bure. Tunataka tuondoe hii serikali asubuhi mapema nao. Acha kwanza tuende break kidogo, and then watu hapa najua you guys.
Download ODBets app na unaweza kujishindia hadi 50,000 bob kila siku.
Na kisha moja kwa moja mtazamaji, basi nakupeleka hapa basi hadi kwa upande wa Japana. Kati huo magaidi wakaanza kuchokoza jamaa fulani alikuwa gaidi Zunyoizi na familia yake. Wewe, kwa nini mnakaa kwa meza yetu? Kwa nini mnakuja kukaa kwa meza yetu? Sasa jamaa wetu taikaoni kuona hivyo akaumwa. Mwanzo hapa mtazamaji ni kwa restaurant, sio kwa nyanya yako. Hii ni restaurant. Mtu analetwa hapa na pesa zake. Haya! Kaona akiwa na umama, akamuita Kamama. Hey. Kamama, pigwa shock. God of Thunder. Akachomoka biguni, akakuingilia. Moyo wake unanyonywa. Cheki venye na ambavyo jamaa anakaushwa. Na Hanzo Hasashi is proud. Ako na machungu baya mbovu. Mtu nataka kuja kuuza uoga. Nakuja kuuzia nani uoga? Mimi ni mtu anawakilisha taifa mzima. Alafu mtu anataka kuja kuuzia mimi uoga. Mavire nya kibisa. Aberu chwadi. Mwanzo firirida imewekwa. Wewe, kwanza kanasikia firirida ni ya Monyonyi. Kanasema mambo iko shwari kibisha. Nyitanagira na DJ Junior the Hindi kwa biriria muthenya wa kiumia ginya aramithi shihada tha inya cia utuko. Na rio muthenya wa Jumamothi ni shihada tha 10 cia hwaini.
Aromakwa.
Urenda ndakarebe
Na ndirege.
Tudwara karebe kagatia.
Ona ndui. Ni ogota ucio mukoragwo naguo ndiendaga.
Ni ati ungi utangika
Ruo ake ndaguteithie naki.
Ni ndioe.
No menya kiri ugucagia tha ici ni kiraguthukira. We serious? Niki kiraguthekia.
That's nice.
Kawage cheza.
No wageria. Hii we moru.
Are back. This is the Gen Z manifesto hapa UON. Vitu zimechemka kwa ground watu wangu. Na pia at home you are saying this guy is saying leadership is power not age. We are the leadership of tomorrow. Viva Gen Z. Swali ni mkipewa hizo political seats mtawezana kweli? And I just want to give a chance to our audience now here kwa hapa Chandaria UON. This one guy over here. Right. Please, you had something to say.
My name is Nicholas Kiplagat. I am a member from Bunge la Wananchi. And I would like to say that we are condemning Council for switching to ODM. But on the same note, we the young people are saying we respect the constitution. Is constitutionally allowed to jump from any party to other party. You can jump in the morning, in lunch, and in the evening. Visionary. So the problem with Kenya is that we have a very visionary a leadership which is not visionary, but the population that we have are very visionary. So in order for Kenya to prosper and to go to greater heights, we need to match two things to ensure that our population is visionary and the leadership that we have is visionary. So the only chance that we have as the young people of this country is to ensure that we take all career politicians home early in the morning. Let us use the strength value that we have. Let us turn up very in the morning on 10th of August, 2027. Let us ensure that we occupy all those positions of leadership so that we can ensure that if in case we fail in the presidency, let us not fail in MCAs and members of parliament. Because
Miss K, kidogo tu before to sawa. Kidogo tu juu amegusia story ya Kasbel na ODM.
Yes.
Nataka tumalizie story saa hii.
Yeah.
Haya, briefly. Tunaongelea story ya youth kama watapewa watawezana. Alipo position ya ODM Youth League mnakataa. Mtakaenda wezania wapi?
Yeah, constitutionally, let me answer. Constitutionally,
kidogo tu. Mrembo. Haya. Malizia basi briefly.
So constitutionally he is allowed to jump, lakini tunamwambia kuwa with the pact the majority of the Kenyans sisi hatujaenda to any political party. Between now and 2027 we the young people are going to come up with our own political party so that we can ensure if you guys will decide to be there mkae hapo, but sisi hatuwezi enda anywhere. Tuta ensure kuwa tunapeleka ODM and UDM at once.
Haya, Miss Kameme sema gender balance. Pitisha briefly tu kwa mrembo hapa hivi.
Yes, the famous Miss El Chapo. I have a question for our two brothers. Let me call them that name. Since you joined ODM, let me call it, what have you done? What can you show the youth umewafanyia? Nothing. Secondly, umesema ODM has been on the streets. After handshake, wanatulia tuonai kwa street tena, si ndio? So does that mean wanakuanga tumbo zao? They are not driven with purpose. They are driven with their stomach. So that is what I can say today. Thank you.
I have
all right. Oh, yeah. It's okay. It's okay. Go. It's okay.
Should I respond?
It will come directly.
Good evening, comrades.
Oh, okay.
Good evening, comrades.
Acha akasema atuambie amefanya nini briefly before tukuje kwa.
I think there's a 2 points that you've raised that you find a lot of the political factions, they go on the streets and then once they feel their political interests have been addressed, they leave the streets. I'll give you an example. You see that man who's shouting over there, that sheikh over there? Nitapeli pia. Because he's been doing protests, nitakuambia, kwa sababu I was with him on the streets, huyu ni mkora. Amekuwa he's been part of this system and he's been part of this system as a translator, as all these things. unless they are given money, for example, to organize protests for Palestine, you will never see him talk about it on the streets. 2, unless him, and because I know that cabal of commercial activists, and I'm glad that it is coming out. I know, because I was their spokesperson, I know them very well.
Hey, wow.
I know that cabal.
Great.
If these people wenye unaona hapa right now, pesa hautaona, hata juzi walijaribu kupanga rally, the people they came to are the same people I was having. Nikawambia vijana, sisi hatutatoka kwa kitu yenye hatujui ni nini. So for me, my constituency, and bado I am not yet, and I need to clarify this, and one, fellow young people, I am very sorry if I disappointed you by joining the Orange Democratic Movement. 2, by wearing this scarf, I am not telling you that this is the party that you need to join. I'm not telling you to abandon your movement. No. Yes, that's just a moment, let me land, let me finish. I am saying that according to what I have seen, and in terms of delivery and in capturing state power, that is part of what I have seen as one of the vehicles. But 3, I will not align myself with people kama hawa wenye kazi yao tu ni kukimbia, kazi yao tu ni kukimbia pesa ya donors isipotoka, and I will reveal pesa ya donors isipotoka, they have no principles hawa.
Washakusikia. Acha turudishe
Order in the house. Order.
Here's the mic.
Guys.
Naambia kuna jamaa nafaa kuongea, aongee alafu ndio kwa side nyingine. Ongea.
Order, guys.
Okay.
Let's go.
Okay. No, let me actually say something. Guys, we are not making any progress. Okay? Let us have some decorum first. Caswell, I don't like talking about people. I like talking about ideas. You should. There's some things you need not to say. Okay? So,
It's okay. Go on, sir.
There's some things you need not to say. Okay? And arrogance sometimes doesn't count. First, let me talk on what I wanted to say. At independence, our country had 3 things that we were fighting. 1 was ignorance. The second one was disease. And the last one was poverty. As I stand here, as I sit where I am, I think those things that I've mentioned, just a few, or even none, has been achieved. Because we are oscillating at the same point. There's nothing good we are doing. We achieve this, NHIF goes well, then we come back and destroy it. Health, our education system. Do you even know what we are learning today? Do we even have a syllabus that we are following that we know that would give our children a future? CBC, is it piloted well as it should be? Or is it being used for people's own gains? So we as youth, we need to move forward on certain things. I've had the panelists here talking about ODM youths. For what reason? Kenyan politics, we have parties just to drive us to positions. But we follow individuals. There's nothing up there. These parties don't help us in any way. Yeah, I'm just saying the truth. My friend here followed Raila Odinga. The other guy is also my friend. Followed Raila Odinga. Let me tell you, guys, this is a rallying call to everyone. Okay? I wish we can all just stand out and stand up and tell people, you know what, we need to just go out and tell everyone to just come out and vote and do things right, because we are on the wrong track. If we go past this, we are not going to have a country here in 2 years. Where are our children going to be? What are we doing? Guys, we really need to do things differently from now.
Right.
Okay?
Thank you, sir. Just one guy here and then turudi huko juu.
Nimechoka sana. Acha niseme this burning point.
All right.
Acha nitoke. So for the sake, I just want to tell the panelists first and foremost, for the sake of democracy, that's the reason why we dissent as the majority of young people in Kenya. My point, and I'll use an analogy to describe it. So Kasamuel, you've pointed Sheikh here. You've pointed Sheikh. I'm going to point Sophie. I'm going to point Lavani. I'm going to point Moraga. So think of this. Political parties like ODM, UDA, pick all of these guys that I've just pointed out. And these are some of the majority leaders who are actively involved in trying to bring out issues affecting majority of young people across the country. What do you think will happen? So this is the single reason why you have this recurring question every platform you go. Because people are singling you out because you're representing now yourself. You're not representing the ideas and the issues that brought out the protest last year.
That's not true though, my brother.
No. And I'm not going for your personality. That's why I pointed out all these other faces. Kwa hii group, there is no way ya kwamba tuta raise issues ambazo zina affect other young people when hizi political class decide to choose to pick kila mtu kwa hii group yetu. At the end of it all, atuta make any progress.
Thank you so much.
Unaget?
Yeah. That's all the time you had because we are running out of time. Kindly let's allow the backbenchers here. We have a whole lot here. Let's begin from the former president for Nazarene. Briefly, so that we can have the rest speak about it.
Thank you so much. I'll try as much as possible to be brief and succinct. First of all, Kasmal, I'd like you to understand that I really, really liked you earlier on and followed most of your teachings and whatnot before change sides. Now, I'll start with this. People who are sitting at the front there, the reason why these people out here are very, very angry is very simple. Analogically, as he's using, if you take clean water and take a glass of dirty water, you cannot take that clean water and put in dirty water and say that you're going to be able to clean that dirty water. It does not work like that, Kasmuel. Understand that. The sheer fact that you're wearing that orange scarf here is an insult to the lives that were lost on June 25th, because that same party you uphold out there, those same people, and I'm saying this with much facts and much reasoning and understanding as a youth who participates actively in the political and civil space, Kasmal. Understand that same party you're holding up here has the same people right now in government who are actively going to be at 336,000 in terms of their salaries on top of what they're getting at the expense of all these youth who are seated here. That is very problematic for all of us, and it does not sit right with anybody here. That is why it incenses us. We are very angry when you literally term her statements as one very nonsensical and illogical. I mean, literally, for you to come in and say that you've tolerated this nonsense for too long, what is this nonsense these students have here? This is not nonsense in itself. I know you want to say something, Kasmal, and I'm not going to allow you to say it at the moment. Hear me out. When I came in, he said that 86% of the youth are actively in media and uses social media. He says that the problem in Kenya that began early on, diseases, ignorance, and poverty, what we have right now here is ignorance has been solved completely. Everybody here knows this constitution as it is. Everybody here understands that the PS education cannot spend 12.1 billion on fuel that hasn't been accounted for at the expense of us not understanding what curriculum our kids are going to be learning. It doesn't make sense. And for you to sit there and say that you amalgamate with the top political class and say that they are actually going to help us doesn't help. One,
inject.
But there are Sankara, top-ups to you, are literally the only things we need right now as youth. And that's one, the youth have already tackled on accountability, and the youth have already tackled on the idea of responsibility. We are now asking you to be radicalized enough to understand that why you are standing as it is very problematic to us as youths and gives so much mixed signals to the top political class, and that is why they are very able to dissuade us and mess us up. Understand that we standing here together as one is what was able to make us be radical enough to push for that June 25th and make them understand that we are forced to recon. If you dissuade and move to that side, they cannot take us any more seriously. And not just only you, any other youth who decides to entrench themselves with the top political class that does not in any way have any help
to the Kenyans here. With that, I
Truly
rest.
angered. Thank you so much. A quick one from James as you conclude. 30 seconds kindly before I move to this line. Yes, try.
Okay. We have a problem. We have a very huge problem. If the kind of guys I'm seeing here, well, except for Sankara, are the guys who are going to give attention going forward, we have a problem as a country. Because in our desperation, we should not at any moment stoop so low as to trust folks like this ones. Because to be sure, to be certain, and to say it as it is, there isn't a difference between the ODM Youth League and the ODM party. And I'm not here to attack the party. As gratifying as that would be, I'm here to state the truth as it is. The ODM party ideals and its values only applies when the party is not in power. If that party gets to power, it will be the same as the Ruto government. That is a truth and that is a fact. The ODM party is not willing to fight corruption. The ODM party is not willing to fight inequality. The ODM party is not willing to fight poverty. And it is not willing to grant Kenya the magical Kenya that we want. Their statements exist in paper. Their statements exist in media stations, but they do not apply.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I wish we had more time. But we still have to throw it back to Kagina just to give us some sentiments. We get some feedback. Kagina?
Well, indeed, we've asked the question of whether the youths wakipewa watawezana, and it has taken very many directions, this discussion this evening, and that was interesting. And this is what Gen Z Manifesto is all about. Tunaongea ikutoke, such that we create a manifesto that brings together all our thoughts as youth, such that everyone is heard and listened to. So allow me to give my panelists a space for their closing remarks. I only have 45 seconds for each, so I'll ask them to be as brief as possible, starting from my far left.
45 is too short for me. I've been here listening. But let me say this. From the audience, it's very clear that there is, let me say this, from the audience or the feedback, it's very clear, and this is the reflection of the youth voice on the ground. The people are agitated. Why? We lack a central system of communication. When you see activists sprout to public spaces, courtesy of consolidated efforts of young people, and they take different routes, then you keep asking yourself, so and so is not speaking for me. That begs the question, and this one I'm throwing to all of you. We need to fight to ensure that the National Youth Council is constitutionally constituted at its stance, because it is out of that council that if you elect the council and it starts speaking political parties, you've got the powers to actually recall them. So this is a very fundamental constitutional provision that has been short-lived, that denies young people a lot of opportunities to learn on how to communicate their grievances to the right people. Even this practice of accountability, it's no longer lip service, Kagina. It is something that can be lived and can be done. We can only achieve this. What is clear from the audience is that the youth lacks representation.
Thank you, Sankara. Allow me to cut you
that can communicate their grievances directly. So let us take...
Thank you, Sankara. I'll have to cut you short because of time. So let's go to Kasmuel briefly as possible because we are short of time.
Thank you, Kagina. I think this is it has been rather productive, and the feedback has been real. However, I would want us to consistently remind ourselves that in the process of trying to be the change agents and the change makers, we be very careful not to turn into the very oppressors that we're seeking to oust. That's one. But also two, be honest in our methods. Because if we are to take the Constitution for what it is, we have to, one, be organized, but also be truthful and people of integrity. The path I have chosen, and unapologetically so, is in the Orange Democratic Movement. That allows everybody else to choose a movement of their own, to choose a political party of their own. But if all we are going to do is sit and bicker and insult each other, all of us must be very clear that we want a liberated Kenya that does not have ignorance, that does not have disease, that is free of poverty, that we have good health, we have better education.
All right,
if you feel fighting for it, just a moment, Kagina. If you feel you're fighting for it in your corner, and I'm fighting for it in my corner, we have to forge it forward.
Thank you very much. I hope now Jared will keep time, because everyone has not.
Aldo, thank you very much. The voices that we have gotten from you, the feedback, we are not going to dismiss them. Personally, I've been in the struggle shake, even when I was in the ODM. So I've been there but again with them in the struggle and they know. Kwa mala mangeuze mnajua nimekuwa na nyinyi. Nikikuja hapo kwa NYC venye the acting CEO amesema hapo, we need to consolidate the youth voices, and I may disagree with one of the audience there that we don't need to join the political parties. Even if you don't join the political parties, but these voices, this energy need to be consolidated. Nikimalizia my parting shot in 2 seconds. Parties are formed purposely to capture power, and that's one of the reasons that I believe in that in political party being formed, they are not NGOs as someone was putting it before. They are formed particularly for power capturing. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Jared. I believe the conversation we've had today has at least shed some more light in terms of when we asked if the youth are truly in that position to take the power. Different ideas, different views as to how that can be achieved, but all of these contributing to what we have on Gen Z Manifesto as good leadership. Ms. Cairo.
Thank you so much, Kagina. Itabidi tumefunga show leo because again, time is not on our sides, but clearly we have seen that the people are intellectual, the people can lead these political seats wakipewa. Kwa hivyo wakipewa watawezana. So, guys at home, thank you very much for joining us today. This has been the Gen Z Manifesto Show. See you next Tuesday, same time, same place. Good night.
Kameme TV, muthegi wa rũrĩrĩ.
Nĩ mũramenyithio gĩkuũ kĩa Lucy wa Njirũ Ng'ang'a na nĩ mũtumia wa mũtigairĩ Onesmus Ng'ang'a Jehu